headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly discusses amended trade union law draft. And landslide in Bac Kan leaves 4 dead. In our world news, Russian economy sees optimistic signals.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it is 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Tân with the top stories. Continuing its 7th session, the National Assembly discussed the draft amended law on trade unions on Tuesday morning. More to follow.
Deputies proposed changes to the draft law to empower trade unions to protect laborers' rights and interests more effectively.
While the rights and responsibilities of trade unions in the draft law are comprehensive, the crucial issue lies in establishing mechanisms for their effective implementation. Currently, grassroots trade union officials receive salaries from the enterprise and often face pressure from employers, creating challenges in maintaining equality in their activities. To address this, it is essential to legally specify mechanisms that enhance the independence of trade unions in organizational operations and financial matters. Additionally, effective policies should be enacted to protect trade union officials.
To enhance the effectiveness of trade unions within enterprises, I propose that higher-level trade unions fund salaries, bonuses, and other allowances for full-time trade union officials. This would enable trade union officials to fulfill their duties wholeheartedly and independently.
The trade union is an independent organization separate from the employer. I propose that decisions concerning personnel of the Executive Committee of Grassroots Trade Unions require agreement and input from higher-level trade unions to ensure more objective and comprehensive decision-making.
Some deputies suggested focusing on specifying the authority and responsibilities of grassroots trade unions rather than providing general regulations applicable to all levels of trade unions as outlined in the draft. They emphasize the crucial role of grassroots trade unions in implementing resolution and tasks, which would strengthen the overall effectiveness of trade unions.
Chairman of the National Assembly, Trần Thanh Mẫn, hosted a reception for EU Ambassador Julien Guerrier and other EU diplomats to Vietnam on Monday. At the meeting, Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn hoped for continued close coordination between the Vietnamese National Assembly and the European Parliament, particularly in exchanging parliamentary experiences and effectively implementing the EVFTA, benefiting both peoples and enterprises. He also expressed hope that the European Commission would remove its yellow card on Vietnamese seafood. The European side expressed a desire to enhance collaboration with Vietnam in maritime security, compliance with international law, and addressing non-traditional challenges like cybersecurity, affirming coordination to promote the removal of the IUU yellow card on Vietnamese seafood. Green-skinned elephant mangoes are one of Cần Thơ City's main agricultural products. On Tuesday morning, the locality coordinated with partners to organize a ceremony announcing the export of the first batch of this mango variety to Australia and the US. Recently, green-skinned elephant mangoes have gained popularity in many markets. The city has oriented farmers to cultivate according to safety standards and cooperate with businesses for export. This came to fruition today with more than 2 tons of green-skinned mangoes exported by air to Australia and the United States. According to businesses, the Australian and U.S. markets have high-quality standards and clear legal regulations. Specifically, the U.S. has strengthened its control over trade laws and quarantine mechanisms through standards such as GMP and ISO relating to the production and processing of agricultural products entering this market. To meet the requirements, the entire chain must pay close attention to seed selection, care techniques, harvesting techniques, post-harvest handling, transportation, and food safety. Cần Thơ City currently grows mangroves on 3,400 hectares. The city's agricultural sector promotes scientific and technical advances, strengthening production and consumption links between cooperatives and businesses. Recently, industry associations have called on member businesses to develop joint production and transportation plans. This aims to be a basis for long-term contracts with shipping lines to minimize the impact of surging sea freight rates. The measure is proposed by the Vietnam Maritime Administration in the context of freight rates continuously increasing since May. Currently, sea freight rates are 17% higher than in January and half of their peak during the COVID-19 pandemic. Prices for transporting goods by sea to European countries and the U.S. have risen sharply due to congestions at some Asian ports. The Maritime Administration recommends that port authorities strengthen monitoring of service prices at seaports and speed up the release of goods. In addition, reducing administrative procedures is also a priority. All the proposals aim to optimize sea transport. High freight rates are obstacles for export enterprises. Additionally, several agricultural and aquatic product export enterprises in Cần Thơ City have reported difficulties in finding markets. More to follow.
The markets for this seafood export enterprise remain stable. However, its export volume is modest due to challenges in transporting goods efficiently to international markets. Thus, it hasn't achieved 50% of its revenue plan.
Freight rates have been increasing continuously, about twice a month. Also, there is a shortage of containers and cargo ships, which puts pressure on our company by increasing inventory.
This export-oriented fruit processing enterprise struggles with raw materials. While pineapples and mangroves are plentiful in the Mekong Delta, few meet export standards due to small-scale cultivation.
We can process up to 800 hectares of pineapples annually, but we have only developed 160 hectares. This is still significant potential for expanding the raw material area.
We handle business procedures without regard to holidays. We collaborate closely with the City Customs Department to assist businesses with customs declarations, ensuring they benefit from the most favorable conditions.
Cần Thơ City has also implemented preferential tax and land policies for enterprises adopting high technology and building industry value chains. Additionally, the city supports enterprises in expanding the domestic market and training human resources.
Now, alongside enhancing and strengthening supply chain linkages, investing in improving the quality of seedlings is crucial for successful crops. Over the past 4 years, Vietnam's law on cultivation has recognized over 260 rice varieties. This has enabled localities to select rice varieties best suited to their soil and climate conditions.
In the last winter spring crop, Vĩnh Long Province piloted the cultivation of Japonica rice. This variety is resilient to acidic and saline soils, adapts effectively to climate change conditions, and yields 8 to 8.5 tons per hectare. Its growing period exceeds 110 days, longer than the widely cultivated local rice variety. As a result, farmers only need to grow 2 crops per year instead of 3.
I have one more crop cycle left for rest and land repair. Alternatively, I can utilize the land to grow other crops.
In Quảng Nam, the average rice yield in the last winter spring crop was approximately 7 tons per hectare, with sticky rice reaching 8 tons per hectare. Thanks to the early adoption of drought-resistant rice varieties, this marks an increase of 4 to 5 tons per hectare compared to the previous winter-spring season.
We assess new and promising rice varieties annually for potential inclusion in supplementary or key variety groups for upcoming production cycles.
According to the Vietnam Rice Industry Associations, numerous rice varieties developed by research institutes have been transferred to businesses and swiftly commercialized. However, there has been a recent slowdown in this process. The lack of legal frameworks is hampering collaboration between businesses and research facilities.
It is essential to leverage the technological resources of both the state and enterprises to advance the plant seed industry and commercial production of rice seeds.
Land allocation should be given priority to produce seeds, but currently, there is none. Moreover, seed production enterprises must meet the same conditions for credit access as other types of enterprises, which is inappropriate considering that agricultural investments are typically long-term.
Seedlings are crucial for successful crops. Investing in research and creating a favorable legal frameworks for rice seed production is essential for sustainable crops, especially to develop new varieties that can adapt to climate change and meet export demands.
Before we move on to other important updates, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rates of today, June 18th. Coming up next on VTV News. Landslide in Bac Kan leaves 4 dead. An effort strengthened to ensure safety and quality of 500 kilovolt circuit-free transmission line. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, a severe landslide has killed 4 members of a family in a Bac Nam district, Bac Kan province. The landslide occurred in a Hoi Un village, Nhiên Loan commune, due to heavy rain lasting for several days, causing a rock fall that slammed into a house occupied by 5 people. 1 person was lucky enough to escape, but 4 others were buried. Immediately after the incident, local authorities promptly arrived to conduct a rescue operation. Around 8 a.m. on Tuesday, the 4 victims in the house were retrieved from the wrecked house and burial procedures were carried out. Scattered thunderstorms are forecast to continue in the region with heavy rain in some places. People are warned of a high risk of landslides and rock slides on steep hillsides and slopes. Thunderstorms are expected in the north on a Tuesday night, with a high risk of local landslides continuing. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are also forecast. Rainfall ranges from 15 to 30 millimeter, with local heavy rainfall over 70 millimeter. Heavy rain is concentrated in the mountains from Lạng Sơn and Cao Bằng to Lai Châu and Điện Biên. During thunderstorms, tornadoes, lightning, and strong winds are possible. Now, over the past few days, the northern mountainous region has borne heavy rain, causing soil and rocks to become waterlogged and begin to slip. With rain forecast to persist, people must be cautious of the high risk of landslides and rock slides on steep hillsides and slopes. In addition, due to water regulation by hydropower, flood warnings levels 1 to 2 may be issued for the Gum River in Cao Bằng and the Gum River and Low River in Tuyên Quang. Heavy rain can cause flooding in low-lying areas and affect farming in riverside areas. Workers constructing the 500 kilovolt Line 3 project must be safe during hot weather and heavy rain, and project quality must also be ensured in all situations. That was the message of the leadership of the State Steering Committee on Important National and Key Energy Projects when visiting the construction site on Monday.
The entire 500 kilovolt Line 3 project has completed the handover of the corridor anchorage. However, the project has only completed 10% of the wire pulling and installed half of the poles. Contractors are speeding up construction by mobilizing human resources and materials. Their goal is to ensure it is delivered on schedule.
At this time, 10,000 workers are gathering at the construction site. We also receive support from the Central Youth Union. About 300 youth union groups of approximately 4,000 people are helping the local people dismantle buildings, cut down trees, and clear the corridor to help energize the power lines.
Despite the large amount of remaining work, investors, contractors, and related contractors are prioritizing labor safety and construction quality.
In blazing sun and pouring rain, all the workers have managed to complete a large amount of work in less than 5 months. This is an impressive result. However, this is the final stage, and the top priority must be ensuring high technical standards. We have to raise it in time to meet the Prime Minister's deadline.
To complete the project on time, the steering committee also requested authorities at all levels and local people in their power line areas to provide maximum support to the construction in this final stage.
Ho Chi Minh City hospitals are urgently reviewing resources and budgets for drugs, laboratory biological products, medical equipment, and supplies. This is to ensure timely reception and treatment of measles patients, as required by the City Department of Health. The Department of Health requires hospitals to consult with the city's measles treatment expert group in severe or critical measles cases. Children's Hospital No. 1, Children's Hospital No. 2, City Children's Hospital, and Hospital for Tropical Diseases are requested to prepare to receive severe measles cases transferred from other places. An estimated 116,000 Vietnamese businesses face a labor shortage of 1.9 million workers this year. And of that figure, unskilled labor accounts for 44%, according to data from the Department of Employment in the Ministry of Labor, Invalids, and Social Affairs. Overall, the industrial sector still accounts for a large proportion of labor demand, nearly 52%. Meanwhile, the service sector accounts for over 38%, and agriculture, forestry, and fishery accounts for nearly 10%. This shows that the wave of job cuts has ended and labor demand has returned. The labor market in the first 5 months of the year continued to recover. The unemployment rate among the working age population is 2.24%, returning to the normal level before the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Employment believes that the overall labor market maintains recovery momentum, but is still unsustainable. Ethnic groups always receive prioritized attention from the party and state. Several policies have been implemented to improve the lives of ethnic people, thereby helping to strengthen national unity. The Mekong Delta is home to over 1.5 million ethnic communities, with the Khmer accounting for over 1.2 million people. Their lives have significantly improved as many households have escaped poverty.
Despite owning 1 hectare of agricultural land, Sun's family faced difficulties due to high levels of aluminum contamination. Since the state completed the irrigation system, he and many Khmer households in Hầm Dần district, Bạc Liêu province have boldly switched to the rice cream cultivation model.
My family income has become much more stable. Our rice crops grow well, while shrimp yields are profitable.
The Khmer people used to work for hire. As we have courage, we have changed to shrimp farming and experiencing improved family finances.
The Mekong Delta's localities have implemented several solutions to support poor and near-poor households, effectively reducing poverty among ethnic groups. The locals are introduced to sustainable livelihood and receive capital support for production and permanent houses.
Thanks to state support, our ethnic groups now have boarding schools, new houses for poor households, and priority policies. Our lives have been much improved.
Hundreds of policies for ethnic groups in the Mekong Delta have been implemented. The main goal is to build essential infrastructure and improve production, thereby contributing to changing the lives of local ethnic people.
This annual EC Vietnam Festival has attracted a large number of participants in the capital city of Paris. Most notably, this year's event is organized by Vietnamese people born and raised in France, with the goal of keeping and promoting their Vietnamese identity. More on this in the following.
Montgay Square, nested in the heart of Paris, is bustling with people attending the festival. This district is dense with several large universities such as Sorbonne and medical universities, as well as French research institutes. As a result, participants were not just passers-by. but came specifically to learn about Vietnam.
Although I'm from a nearby Southeast Asian country, I don't have many opportunities to learn about Vietnam, so I came here to explore its culture.
Cuisine and literature was the main theme of this year's inaugural event. 25 Vietnamese restaurants in Paris have participated, bringing cuisine from different Vietnamese regions. It also highlighted the differences between Vietnamese cuisine and neighboring Asian countries. Additionally, an event introducing Vietnamese books also attracted the public's attention.
We are motivated to introduce Vietnam to the world and bring about emotions through the exchanges in literature, contemporary art, or cinema. This connection is crucial for creators who are influenced and nurtured by Vietnamese culture.
We also diversify the activities. Cuisine and literature for this event, while cinema, painting, and art are set for others.
In addition, a Vietnamese Film Week will be held this October. These events are contributing to introducing the culture and creativity of the Vietnamese community to the world.
Mù Cang district in Yên Bái province isn't only renowned for its golden season of ripe rice from September to October. It also captivates tourists with the beauty of its terrace fields during the rainy season. Currently, the Hmong people in Mù Cang are busy with farm work in anticipation of the new crop. Their traditional farming methods have transformed the terrace fields into a must-visit destination for those eager to experience the local nature and culture.
After allowing the lawn to rest for 3 months, Theo began ploughing the field.
I take advantage of the rain to plow. The land is dry and cannot be plowed when it's sunny. When water is available, we can grow our crops.
In Bac Kan village, rains arrive early, prompting villagers to plant rice seedlings in the fields. The watercolors blend with the brown soil and the green rice seedlings. During this season, villagers work in traditional customs, which then are their hopes to capture and share with tourists.
We aim for visitors to grasp our culture fully. To achieve this, they must experience it firsthand.
Daniel visited Mù Cang during the water pouring season. He was amazed by the locals' English explanations to the terrace fields. He got hands-on ploughing experience.
Follow me, I will show you how to use the machine.
We tried a little bit to work. I think it's a hard job, especially if you do every day like they do. It's satisfying to harvest, to collect what you work for many months.
In addition to farming for food security, we utilize the landscape to offer additional tourism services.
The beauty of terrace fields during the water pouring season has become a captivating tourism attraction, driving socio-economic development in the locality.
Coming up next in our world news, Russian economy sees optimistic signals. And oil jumps, settles at highest in over a month. Now moving on to our world news, the Russian Ministry of Finance on Monday announced several positive signals for the country's economy. In May, the federal budget recorded a surplus for the first time in a year, with revenues reaching $29 billion and expenditures reaching nearly $24 billion. In the first 5 months of this year, federal budget revenues increased by nearly 1.5 times compared to the same period last year, reaching $161 billion. Notably, non-oil and gas revenues increased nearly 2.3 times compared to oil and gas revenues. The Russian Ministry of Finance proposed increasing non-oil and gas budget revenues to $279 billion this year. Oil prices surged nearly $2 a barrel on Monday to their highest day-ending levels in over a month. This increase comes as investors grow more optimistic about the demand outlook. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained by $1.88 or 2.4% to settle at over $80 a barrel. This is the highest since the end of April. Global benchmark Brent crude gained $1.63 or 2% to over $84 a barrel, also the highest since April. OPEC forecasts that increased travel and tourism activities in the second half of this year will increase fuel consumption demand. In addition, positive economic data from China supports the prospect of higher oil demand from the world's leading importer. The increasing geopolitical risk in the Middle East also created momentum for oil prices to rise. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva urged his government on Monday to speed up actions to preserve the Amazon forest. Their goal is to combat organized crime that has contributed to destroying the world's largest tropical rainforest. More to follow.
The Brazilian president complained that a security plan for the Amazon had taken a year to develop. However, much was still needed to establish an international police center in Manaus. The president was speaking from the government palace in Brasilia at an event sealing the transfer of $58 million to fund the security plan. The resources come from the $1.3 billion Amazon Fund, originally set up by Norway to support sustainability and stop illegal deforestation in the Amazon.
We need to make things happen quickly. We didn't have a plan, but we now have one. We didn't have money, but we now have money. Now you have a plan and you have the money and talent to execute it, so it can't be delayed anymore. Good luck to you and congratulations.
The fund, managed by Brazil's National Development Bank, has been supported by donations from Germany, Britain, Denmark, the European Union and the US. The Amazon Security Plan is the first project sponsored by the fund to combat environmental crimes in the vast region. The rainforest has faced systematic destruction from illegal logging and gold mining, and criminal gangs use it as a conduit for drug trafficking and the smuggling of wildlife. Brazil has made progress in slowing deforestation in the Amazon since Lula became president last year and sought to restore his country's leading role in global efforts on climate change. In his first year in office, deforestation in Brazil's Amazon declined by 50% to a 5-year low.
Now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download a mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.